I am 83 years old, and I didn't choose this place the way people think. Let me say that again. I did not choose this place. They tell you it's for your own good. They use soft words like temporary and safety and peace of mind. And if you're old enough, tired enough, or just lonely enough to want to believe them, you will. You'll nod your head and sign the papers and let them pack your things. And then one morning you wake up in a bed that smells like bleach and someone else's skin, and you realize you're never going home again. I wasn't always here. Most people my age, they've got a story about how they ended up in a place like this. A fall, a broken hip, a moment when the doctor looks at your daughter and says the words, "not safe." And suddenly everyone in the room stops looking at you. They look at each other. They make plans. And you're just sitting there, still breathing, still thinking, still knowing exactly what you want. But nobody asks. My name doesn't matter. What matters is that 6 months ago, I was living alone in a 2-bedroom house I'd owned for 47 years. I mowed my own lawn until I was 81. I cooked my own meals. I paid my bills online because I figured if a teenager could do it, so could I. My mind was sharp, too sharp maybe. Sharp enough to see exactly what my family was thinking before they said it. They came to visit on a Sunday. My daughter, her husband, my grandson who drives a fancy car and calls me sweetheart like I'm a child. They brought a casserole and sat in my living room looking at the carpet like it was full of landmines. And then my daughter said, "Mom, we need to talk about something." I knew. I knew before she opened her mouth. She said they were worried. She said the stairs were dangerous. She said I'd forgotten to take my blood pressure medicine twice last week. Twice, in 7 days. Like that was evidence of some great decline. Like I hadn't been managing my own body for 60 years before she was even born. Then came the words, "We found a place. It's temporary. Just until we figure things out. It's the best option." I trusted them. That's the part that keeps me awake at night. Not the place itself, not the food or the noise or the loss of my bedroom. It's that I trusted them. I looked at my daughter's face and I saw the same earnest expression she'd worn at 7 years old when she promised she'd cleaned her room. And I believed her. So I packed a bag, a small one, just enough for a few weeks, I thought. My daughter said not to bring too much. She said the place had everything I'd need. She lied. Not maliciously, not even consciously, probably. But a lie is a lie, and I'm too old to dress it up in nicer clothes. The first day inside, I told myself it was fine. The hallways were clean. The staff smiled. A woman named Patty showed me to my room and pointed out the call button next to the bed. "If you need anything, just press," she said. I asked her if the door locked. She said they don't lock doors here. For safety. That was the first time I felt it. That tiny click in my chest. Not fear, something quieter, something worse. The feeling of a door closing that you didn't even know was open. The room was small, one window facing a parking lot, a bed that wasn't mine, a dresser that smelled like furniture polish and other people's memories. I sat on the edge of that bed for an hour, just looking at the walls. I could hear someone down the hall calling for help. Nobody came fast. Nobody came slow. Just the sound of that voice, getting tired, then stopping. I told myself it was temporary. I unpacked my toothbrush. I hung my sweater on the back of the chair. I went to dinner at 4:30 in the afternoon because that's when they serve it here. 4:30. The sun still high in the sky. We sat at long tables like children in a cafeteria. The woman next to me asked the same question 3 times. The man across from me ate his mashed potatoes with his fingers. Nobody looked at anyone else. The food was fine. Not good, not terrible. Just fine. Like everything here. The staff was polite. The building was warm. The television in the common room played the same game shows on a loop. And every night at 8 o'clock, they came around to make sure we were in our rooms. That's when I started to understand. Safety isn't the same as belonging. You can be safe and empty. You can be warm and hollow. You can have 3 meals a day and a bed that doesn't hurt your back, and still feel like you've been buried alive. The routine replaced everything. 7 a.m. wake up, 7:30 breakfast, 9 a.m. activities, which meant folding towels or watching a woman named Brenda try to lead a chair exercise class. 11:30 lunch, 1 p.m. rest time, 4:30 dinner, 7 p.m. television, 8 p.m. room check, lights out at 9. Do you understand what that does to a person? When every hour is chosen for you. When you don't decide when to eat or sleep or walk outside. They call it structure. I call it slow suffocation. Time moves differently here. It stretches and thickens like cold honey. An hour feels like a day. A day feels like a week. But somehow a month disappears, and you can't remember a single thing that happened in it. The same conversations, the same faces, the same carpet patterns in the hallway that you've memorized down to the last stain. People stopped asking my opinion, not because they were cruel, because they forgot I had one. The staff talked to my daughter on the phone, not me. They asked her about my medications, my preferences, my schedule. They said, "We think your mother would prefer," and my daughter nodded like she'd suddenly become an expert on 60 years of my life. I tried to push back. I told them I wanted to go home. I told them I was fine. I told them I'd lived through 3 recessions, 2 wars, and a husband who snored like a chainsaw. I could handle stairs. They smiled. They said, "We understand." And then they did nothing. Here's what I've learned, sitting in this room at 83 years old. The loss isn't comfort. It's not the good food or the soft bed or the friendly faces. The loss is control. The slow, quiet, polite theft of your right to make your own mistakes. Nobody takes it from you in a dramatic moment. There's no villain twirling a mustache. There's just a daughter who loves you, and a doctor who's trying to be careful, and a social worker who's seen too many broken hips. They all mean well, and that's exactly why you should be afraid. Because when people mean well, they don't stop. They don't question themselves. They just keep going, stacking little decisions on top of each other, until one day you look up and you're behind a wall you never saw being built. I remember the exact moment I knew I wasn't leaving. It was a Tuesday, rainy. I'd been here 3 months. My grandson came to visit, the one with the fancy car. He brought me a magazine and a bag of hard candies I can't eat because of my teeth. We sat in the common room, and he talked about his job and his new apartment and a girl he was dating. I listened. I asked questions. I pretended. And then he said, "We're going to move some of your furniture into storage next week, just to make things easier. Not, do you want us to? Not, would you like? Just, we're going to." As if I'd already agreed. As if my house was already gone. As if my life had been boxed up without me. I didn't say anything. That's the part that still burns. I sat there with my hands in my lap, and I didn't say a word. Because somewhere in those 3 months, I'd stopped believing I had the right to speak. The routine had done its work. The smiling staff had done theirs. I'd become exactly what they expected me to be. Quiet, compliant, grateful. I am not grateful. I am angry. But anger at 83 doesn't burn hot like it did at 30. It smolders. It sits in your chest like a coal you can't spit out. And every time someone calls me sweetheart, or pats my hand, or asks if I need help walking to the bathroom, that coal gets a little hotter. You want the truth? Here it is. I should have said no. I should have looked at my daughter in my living room that Sunday afternoon and said, "I am not going." I should have let her be upset. I should have let her worry. I should have let her call me stubborn and difficult, and every other word they use for old people who won't do what they're told. Because those words would have hurt less than this quiet hallway, this bed that isn't mine, this life that I let other people pack into a bag for me. I'm not telling you this because I want advice. I'm not telling you this because I want pity. I'm telling you this because you need to hear it. You, the one listening, the one who's got a parent getting older, or an aunt who lives alone, or a spouse who's starting to slow down. Think carefully before you decide for someone else. Think carefully before you let someone decide for you. Because here's the thing about decisions. They don't feel permanent when you make them. They feel like solutions. They feel like relief. But then you wake up one morning in a room that smells like bleach, and you realize you've been gone for 6 months, and nobody asked if you wanted to leave. I'm still in here. My mind, I mean. Still sharp, still watching, still counting the days. And every night before they turn the lights out, I look at that window and I think about my house, my stairs, my kitchen, my bed. And I think about the word temporary. What a liar that word is. So go ahead. Call me bitter. Call me difficult. I don't care. I've earned the right to be angry. And if this story makes you uncomfortable, good. It should. Because one day, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not for 20 years, someone is going to look at you with love in their eyes and concern in their voice, and they're going to tell you they know what's best. And you need to remember this old woman in this room. You need to remember that safety is not a life, that belonging is not the same as being managed, that control disappears so quietly you won't even notice until it's gone. I am 83 years old, and I am not giving anyone else permission to decide for me again. The door doesn't lock. But that doesn't mean I have to stop trying to open it. This response is AI generated for reference only.